Well, depending on how things go, I could pick Miami to be one of my serious regression candidates for the 2026 season. There's still a way to go. I can tell you right now, I've seen enough. I'm not picking Indiana to do that because they have been crushing the transfer portal. The last time I talked about Indiana transfers on the show, I talked about the skill guys. And you know what? It's worth reminding you how much I like these dudes. The player that I like least of these guys, not to say I don't like him, I'm just saying I like the other guys more. The player that I've talked about already on the show for Indiana, who I like the least, his name is Turbo Richard. He goes by Turbo. He's a running back. Okay? He's not the most talented guy that they've brought in. Some schools bring in a guy named Turbo and think they are going to hit the hydropower boost into a national championship run. Indiana brings in a guy like Turbo. That might be their 7th best transfer when it's all said and done. They brought in Nick Marsh, the wide receiver from Michigan State. Josh Hoover was my favorite quarterback that changed teams in the transfer portal this cycle. But there have been more moves since that point in time, including, get this. The portal is so crazy. Just remember the name for comedic purposes. I mean, Indiana will, of course, turn him into a first-round pick. But for comedic purposes, let's remember the name Brock Schott. Schott. Brock Schott transferred to the Hoosiers from, get ready for it, Miami. Yeah. Yeah, that's a doozy. That's a doozy of a move right there. So here are the other guys that I want to talk about that fortify my belief that Indiana is going to be right back in the national championship discussion. Not just because Curt Cignetti will be there. Their coordinators are both coming back. That's not going to last, by the way. There's one of my, I haven't used this term before, but I'm going to act like I have, ironclad guarantees. At least Bryant Haynes of Indiana's coordinator fame will be a head coach in 2027. Curt Cignetti will not be able to run it back beyond 2026 with his same coordinators. Frankly, I think it speaks to the brand of Indiana football that he's able to do that now. Now, Indiana has ponied up plenty of money to keep these guys, but Mike Shanahan and Bryant Haynes, how does everybody not want a piece of what Cignetti's doing right now? Maybe it's that IU brand bias, and if it were a maize and blue M or a scarlet O on a silver helmet with stickers on the back, maybe it'd be different. But alas, here we are. By the way, Ohio State offense coordinator. If you missed it, Brian Hartline, he's the head coach of South Florida. So, a couple other guys. First, let's start with A.J. Harris. D'Angelo Pons, I believe, is out of eligibility. Either way, he's going to go to the NFL draft because D'Angelo Pons is really good. And A.J. Harris, when it's all said and done with the proper coaching, which, of course, you're going to get at Indiana, might end up being a better corner than D'Angelo Pons. Remember when Indiana had a great first season and people were saying, well, their schedule is weak. And by the way, in no way, no matter how much praise I heap upon Cignetti and this Hoosiers program, deservedly so, will I ever overlook the fact or forget to be annoyed at the fact that they don't play a legit non-conference opponent. It's ridiculous. The Big Ten should mandate it. Indiana's rise should feature a marquee non-conference opponent. It doesn't. It's stupid. College football has a lot of problems. Scheduling is nowhere outside the top 3 for me. But A.J. Harris comes over from Penn State, because that situation, of course, imploded. And I'm sure Tennessee, with their losses in the secondary, would have loved to have brought him in because their defensive coordinator, or his defensive coordinator at Penn State this past year, went to be the defensive coordinator with the Vols. They even brought Amari Campbell, the linebacker, there with them. Did he bring A.J. Harris? Nope. Indiana got him. Just think about that. Think about the premise of having the inside track to get an NFL caliber guy, and he's choosing between Tennessee and Indiana, and he says, yeah, give me the Hoosiers. Give me IU. I don't know that I'm fully used to it yet. Perhaps I will be by the time Monday night comes to a close in Indiana. I believe will be hoisting a national championship trophy. They could do it in 2026 as well. Why the heck not? They're going to have the quarterback. They're going to have the weapons. So they brought in Nick Marsh, who's a big-bodied possession receiver. They also brought in Shaz Preston, who comes over from Tulane. These next two guys I'm going to talk about are just quintessential Curt Cignetti transfers. Shaz Preston, one-time borderline 5-star recruit, according to the 24/7 metrics, made his way to Tulane, has played there and college football in general for multiple seasons, coming from the Group 5 ranks, and now, there you go. There you go. He's at Indiana now. I mean, frankly, at this point, I'm convinced Curt Cignetti could take any team's roster and rate it for players that would thrive in his system. Carson Williams is a corner that, I'll be honest, I have probably watched 5 snaps of football of this year, and I couldn't even tell you what those 5 snaps were. Well, I watched more than that because I watched all of Oregon, Montana State. He's transferring from Montana State, who just won an FCS national championship. Doesn't that feel like a Cignetti pops him into being, I don't know, at least all Big Ten second team next year? He's only 5'11", so he's probably nickelback, but I'm just throwing it out there. A.J. Harris is not. He's an outside corner, NFL dude, 6'1", 193 pounds. Then there is Joe Brunner. Joe Brunner, boy, he looks like a Big Ten football player. Intra-Big Ten transfer here, little red-on-red Big Ten crime from the team in Crimson, that being Indiana, and they went and got Joe Brunner from Wisconsin. Do you know how many years of college football Joe Brunner has played? Oh, wait for it. Again, his PFF grade this year, okay, around 65, 66, pass blocking grade of 72. Don't worry, Cignetti and company will bump that up to the mid to high 80s by the end of the 2026 campaign. Joe Brunner has played, wait for it, 4 seasons of college football. It'll be his 5th. So the theme with Indiana is experience. That's the narrative that I think is percolating very heavily and deservedly so, and understandably so, with the Hoosiers and their rise to college football glory. Because in a manner of speaking, though it looks different from a recruiting rankings and talent composite standpoint, Indiana is actually built in a similar fashion to the last 2 national champs, Ohio State and Michigan. Now, those teams did it with quarterback play that is frankly nowhere near. Will Howard was very good at Ohio State. He was not drafted early on. He is not a starting quarterback. Fernando Mendoza is going to be taken number 1 overall by the Raiders. Good luck. Maybe I'll go watch him play. I live less than 2 hours from Vegas. But Will Howard and J.J. McCarthy, those guys compared to Mendoza, I know who I'm taking. The answer is Fernando Mendoza. I don't know if I would have said that at the start of the year, but I'm not so stubborn that I won't change my opinion when there's obvious evidence that runs contrary to what I was thinking and therefore saying. But I think it's a good thing. Anyway, so Mendoza, again, not a super highly rated guy, was seen as, good quarterback recruit. Boom! Heisman Trophy. Ohio State was a very experienced football team. All those guys came back. Who was one of the only teams they lost to that year that wasn't Michigan when they got in their heads? In that, I still can't believe they lost that football game, but hey, they won the national championship. It all worked out. Who was the one other team that beat them that year? Oregon. What did Oregon have? Experience. What were the Ducks? The number 1 overall team in Big Ten champions. And they were a very experienced team. Michigan the year before. McCarthy was in, I believe, his 2nd year, and you just had a bunch of experience. And you can do this in the portal, or you can do it through the high school ranks, or you can do it with both, kind of like Miami has. But when I'm trying to figure out how I can make a better preseason national championship pick next year, heck, one of the reasons, frankly, Dabo Swinney's just completely lost his touch. One of the reasons I and others picked Clemson to win it all before the season began is they were trending up, their quarterback was returning, and they had a bunch of experience all over the roster. I think everyone's going to try and follow that blueprint. But when you bring in these guys that have just played 2, 3, or 4 years of college football, but you just have edges over other guys that you can't always quantify. But they're very real, and they're doing it for a reason. So, yeah, Indiana's portal haul, really good. And I'm going to dive heavily into the national championship matchup on my Monday show. But for the next season snapshot for both these teams, or sorry, that's not the way that I should phrase it. I'm just recording a little late here. Brain's wired all over the place. I've been on the air for a number of hours today. So next year, I think these teams can be very different spots, pending what happens with the Miami quarterback situation, because Miami is built to last. They're built to be sustainable year over year. Anyone and everyone needs good to above average to good quarterback play. And Miami, I don't think currently has a plan to make that happen. Maybe it's Parker Navarro. But Indiana's got a very clear-cut plan, and I believe it's going to work. Never seen anything like it. The Indiana Hoosiers, man. The Indiana Hoosiers. I don't even know. What about in the Big 12? How about it?